there's a dirty secret that the keto diet companies and influencers are not telling you about. And this is how keto absolutely tanks your testosterone levels.
Does the keto diet have some dirty secrets? Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and welcome to my channel where I review and debunk nutritional misinformation online. In this video, we're going to hear some putative or proposed secrets about how bad the keto diet is. Dangerous, actually. I'm not convinced, but wait until the end to hear my final thoughts. Before we dive into today's video, I want to invite you to take keto nutritionist Amy Berger's free masterclass, The Secrets to Breaking Keto Fat Loss Stalls. If you're doing all the right things but stubborn weight still won't budge, then Amy's masterclass is for you. See the link in the description to sign up.
And this isn't just some fake news propaganda. No, this is legit. There's actually a meta-analysis study showing that keto diet, specifically low carbohydrate, high fat diet, has decreased testosterone levels in men by 37%. And not only this, but the keto diet actually leads to many major problems in men and in women.
Well, so let's take that first one. If you've been watching my channel for a while, or you're one of my patients, you know one of the discussions we have is that the blood levels may be different on keto diet. For those who don't eat carbohydrates, the blood levels may be different than for those who do eat carbohydrates. Now, some blood levels like the sodium, potassium, magnesium, creatinine, liver tests, these are pretty much the same, whether you're on a high carb or moderate carb or a no carb keto kind of diet. But there are other things that change. Hormonal levels, for example, can change. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a hormonal problem. And so there are other ways to measure whether testosterone is a problem by not just measuring the blood. Do you have libido? Do you have sexual desire? Do you have sexual performance? I mean, so just because a blood level changes doesn't persuade me that there's actually a clinical problem going on. And I've seen lots of influencers, even people who have tried keto and carnivore diets, get worried, I think prematurely, about some blood test change. I was taught that blood is convenient to check. We can just draw it out of the arm. It doesn't necessarily mean that much. So we can focus on the blood when really what we're wanting to know is how is the body functioning. So rather than worry about a testosterone level, you want to know about the clinical symptoms. And of course, if you start having clinical symptoms, so you don't want to just focus on the blood level, you want to focus on the clinical symptoms. If you have symptoms of low testosterone, of low thyroid, or other sort of hormonal change, then you'd want to have, of course, you want to talk about, so you want to go beyond what the blood levels say, and you want to consider the entire clinical context. Don't just focus on the blood level, but do you have symptoms of testosterone being low, or of thyroid being low, of any other hormone system? Because those can be different if you don't eat carbohydrates when compared to those who do eat carbohydrates.
The first way it does this is through the urea cycle. Now, this is just fancy terminology for how your body converts things like nitrogen and things like the protein in food that you consume into energy within your body. And keto slows down this entire process. And what happens here is that your post-workout testosterone has to compensate by decreasing your testosterone levels. I know, it sounds crazy, right? However, there is some serious validity to this. And not only is there scientific evidence, but personal evidence with people who have come out of the keto diet, who've experienced what it'd be like to work out on keto versus not on keto. Now, this is just one of the side effects.
Well, so consider the context, and my world is a clinical one where people come for relief of clinical problems, not the high functioning, high performance world. And you would treat people differently, or even consider the hormonal function differently. Most of the people who come to me can't exercise at all. So consider the context. This is not a concern if your exercise level is very low. Even then, I'm not super concerned about that because there's a lot of evidence that you can actually perform really well in the big picture, not just focusing on one little issue of metabolism. You always want to look at the whole organism, if you will.
There's actually a lot more side effects, some of which are even scarier and worse than lower testosterone levels. A very scary one in particular is its impact on the liver.
I don't know. Let me know if you're scared about low testosterone levels. I think that's a bit of a hype there. I'm not particularly scared about my testosterone level. That use of language is just another internet common usage now, I'm afraid.
Now, people that consume a lot of high-fat foods are also going to consume a lot of cholesterol. And cholesterol is a great thing. It's very important, but quality matters, and what you consume cholesterol with matters here. As this study shows, cholesterol consumed with polyunsaturated fatty acid, or PUFAs, is going to actually have a detrimental effect on your liver in humans in clinical study. And what this is your canola oils, your vegetable oils, the oils that are in most of the dressings and most of the foods that are animal foods that you get from a non-pasture raised source, a conventional farm. They're super high in these PUFAs and these polyunsaturated fatty acids. And this combination with cholesterol, which is basically a staple of the keto diet, especially a dirty keto diet, is going to be a huge detrimental effect for your liver.
I've been teaching dirty keto diets for over 20 years now. Have not seen any of these things, don't think it's dangerous, and don't use the same language at all. But think about it for a minute. The idea that something that might come with the fat, well, the picture you showed was a bun. It was the carbohydrates coming with the fats. In the big picture, a low-carb diet, even when it's really high in fat, actually reverses the metabolic liver disease. It used to be called NAFLD or NASH. Now it's called MASLD, and there are all these new drugs coming out to target it, but it's a dietary thing, and it can be reversed by a low-carb, high-fat diet, which really just flies in the face of that whole segment that he just did, which, again, it's trying to grasp at straws to get you not to do something, and I don't fully understand why, except if it's an animal rights sort of thing, if it's the food quality here he focuses on, which again is important, but it's not as important as keeping the carbs super low.
Now, I'm going to get into why liver is so crucial for men's health. Other than just having a healthy liver, it helps detox your body. There's another caveat here about liver that all men need to know. Now, start to swap out these sunflower oils, vegetable oils, canola oils, and conventional meats for things like avocado oils, olive oils, and high quality grass-fed animal fats and ghee and butter. However, no restaurants do this. You have to be very diligent about the fat you're consuming, even more diligent than usual, because it's such a big part of what you're consuming on the keto diet. So unless you're super self-aware, you're probably consuming way more of these polyunsaturated fatty acids than you may be aware of.
Well, so actually, compared to what you used to eat, it's a lot less. So there's a little bit of fear-mongering here.
And the liver is so crucial for hormones because it helps metabolize them. And since cholesterol is a precursor of testosterone, it plays a crucial role in the production of healthy hormone levels. So overall, most keto livers are super overstressed and trying to process way too much fat.
Well, wait a minute. If cholesterol is a precursor of testosterone, you want cholesterol, it's okay to eat it then. Actually, years ago in training, I kind of smelled a rat that when you eat a lower cholesterol diet, the liver makes more cholesterol to make up for what you didn't eat. And so when people started saying that cholesterol was bad, I thought to myself, you couldn't really say it out loud then. Why does the liver make more cholesterol if it's bad for you? No, you need cholesterol, and you need it for hormonal function like testosterone, cortisol, the steroid-based hormones. So then we're kind of seeing the same information used in different ways for the purpose of getting you to think that it's dangerous. One reason I do these videos is that many of you who are just coming to this for the first time are confused and even scared about following a keto diet just because of videos like this. Because there's controversy, oh my goodness, someone recently told me they didn't really want to do it on their own because they were worried about the fear-mongering, and this is not what we see in the clinic. This gets me back to if you want to learn about a keto diet, learn it from someone who uses a keto diet. Don't learn from someone who never uses it. That you're going to get the biased view against that kind of diet. And you won't learn how to do it in an easy way. We want to make things easier for you, not harder.
And then the third thing, now this is where we actually get into the problems of restricting all these carbohydrates. And this is something called the SHBG, hormone binding globulin. And this little hormone here is going to lead to decreased total testosterone, but the side effects are what you really need to watch out for here. Now, remember, I did mention the liver as number 2. The liver actually produces this SHBG within the body. So it all works hand in hand here. The body is actually very smart. It works cohesively together, and a lot of these systems overlap, which is why your diet is so crucial for how your overall wellness, health, and vitality feels. Now, all these problems combined lead to things like keto crotch, hair loss, low energy, weird body odor, and worst of all, the keto D, which is one of the scariest side effects, especially for men and women. You see, keto is just another crash course. It's meant to be slimming, and it's also meant to allow you to shed those pounds fast. However, it doesn't always work like this, and it comes at a price. Because now, not only does your body have to divert its resources, turning proteins into glucose, but it also stresses the liver and bile production.
So he obviously doesn't know much about nutritional ketosis and how your body can run on fat. And actually, he'll be very surprised and happy to know that he can run on his own body fat if, God forbid, he doesn't have access to food for 2 or 3 days. So actually, all of these things he's talking about happen if you don't eat for a couple days. That's called nutritional ketosis. It's called fasting. It's been part of most major religions, where it's a healing kind of process. And while it's different than what happens under carbohydrate consuming circumstances, it's not harmful, and yet it's different. So it must be dangerous because it's different, I guess. I don't understand that.
And organ stress is a common trend with all these crash course diets.
So a crash course diet, again, I don't understand his position. It doesn't have to be a crash course diet. Now, you don't get locked up in a keto prison once you start this. So the way I explain it, if you haven't started yet, is that there's a weight loss phase. We use a keto diet or medications, or you could use surgery, or the shots out there during the weight loss phase. And then there's a weight maintenance phase where you could actually not be keto anymore, add back carbs if you want, or you could be a fat burner and continue a keto diet for a lifetime, a lifestyle if you wish. So I really wonder what's his motivation here.
Without healthy organs to function at their peak, not only our hormones will suffer, but also how we feel will be greatly affected. And it's a shame, man, because keto has so many touted benefits. And if you're like me and you've just gone way too far down the keto rabbit hole and did it for a little bit too long and maybe afraid that you put excess stress on your body, well, there are ways to undo that stress. And the first one is to stop doing the keto diet.
Well, but I thought he just mentioned all the great things that can happen. Let me know, and it generally happens spontaneously, that you write down below all the great things that happened to you. I guess if you have had an issue, let me know that too, although usually in the clinic, I hear a story of someone tried a keto diet, it didn't work, or they didn't feel right, or they weren't doing it the way that I teach it, or there were medications that became too strong, and there was a confusion that it was the diet when really it was the medication that was causing the problem. So it's hard for me to troubleshoot without hearing the entire story, asking questions here and there. And then the method that we teach, because it's been around so long, it usually rectifies or adjusts for whatever issue had happened before.
But there are also some great diet changes, adaptogens, and peptides that can help you recover from the keto damage.
Well, I've never heard that before, and I don't think it's a thing called the keto D, although it sounded pretty cool, the keto damage.
For example, the adaptogen Tonkat can help with the urea cycle that we spoke of earlier and can help improve the urea cycle, help get it back to its normal levels, which will in turn decrease muscle damage and help with the recovery process and muscle building. And on top of that, there are also herbs that help regenerate and clean the liver. You can do something like a push-pull liver method when you have bitter foods and you have something like charcoal. I personally did this as well after doing keto for too long and my liver enzymes were elevated. So I used the push-catch method in order to have charcoal and bitters to help excrete a lot of the bad things in my liver and then have the charcoal bind to them and take them out of my body. And this greatly improved my liver enzyme levels.
So again, I don't know what version of keto that he tried, if he's truly having had these experiences. Bariatric surgeons, weight loss surgeons, actually use commonly a low-carb diet before they do weight loss surgery, because the low-carb or keto diet shrinks the liver so that they have a better view of the anatomy inside when they're doing an operation. And most of these are done laparoscopically now. So actually those of us who use a properly formulated keto kind of diet don't see any of these problems at all.
And last but not least, back to SHBG. This is a huge one. This is what guys like myself and Andre Bettinson have had struggles with for so many years. This was the one thing we had to overcome to really dial in our testosterone levels, to get to the point we're at now, to feel healthy as a man, to finally overcome those hormonal barriers that we've been dealing with year after year. And SHBG was the prime suspect. And this one is most prominent in people who are restricting their calories, especially their carbohydrates. But there are things like the 4.3 kilodalton peptide in tonkatali that helps free testosterone unbind to the SHBG.
Of course, we can fix it with selling you something, a product. That's the agenda here. Target people who, for some reason, are now scared of the keto diet. No, introduce fear and being scared about what you've done to yourself for whatever reason, and then take my products to repair the damage that you did, which I don't think you did damage. So if you haven't started yet, don't worry, don't be repelled by the keto diet. If you're one of my patients watching this, I think this is good experience to be able to hear through the fear mongering and see what the real agenda is here, which is to sell products.
Allowing that free testosterone to actually be available in your body. Now, all of these things are not going to help much if you're still staying on the keto diet. You have to transition away from the diet, introducing more carbohydrates and making sure that if you are trying to lose weight, that you're taking action to not have too many calories, but focusing on nutrients and focusing on eating enough nutrients and calories within your diet so that your body can process the weight and you can lose that weight. Because the keto is a crash course diet. It might work in the short term, but all the benefits like the weight loss and the brain clarity is just going to turn into having more weight problems and more brain fog down the road. And even some of the leading keto experts have actually switched their stance on the keto diet, which I have a ton of respect for. Whenever someone can take something and say it and then get new information and then change their old beliefs from the new information, I have utmost respect for people like Thomas DeLauer, who had promoted and touted the keto diet for years and then realized that the keto diet actually tanked their own testosterone levels. Even made a whole 30-minute YouTube video about this. And what Thomas found out was that the keto diet was not right for him, and he decided to optimize for his SHBG levels. And overall, keto has one primary aim: improving insulin levels. But there are so many better ways to go about improving your insulin levels that are harmonious with your organs, harmonious with your endocrine system and your hormonal levels.
Well, let's stop there just a moment. So if an influencer didn't need the keto diet at all in the first place and does it and then gets off it, is that really being, you should give them more respect? And well, so the keto diet is a fat burning diet. It's a therapeutic diet. Some people even feel better on it for their lifetime. If you're a super functioning gym rat, if you will, and you're trying to measure blood levels and performance and there's a minor little change that you're worried about, fine. But if you're a patient in my clinic, please don't get dissuaded by these things. They're relatively minor, important to them, but minor in the big picture when you're reversing metabolic disease.
because this dogmatic adoption of the keto diet is just way too extreme. And the problem there is that our ego gets in the way. We have all these dogmatic blind spots, and you start thinking that what you're doing is perfect and that it's not going to have any problems. But everything that is touted as the best and the only diet you need is going to have a lot of holes to poke through in it. And that's the problem. That's where true health stops and dogmatic diet approach begins, because what results may be temporary will never last forever.
Well, I don't understand that logic. If it really is a good thing, and I think there are many diets that are good to follow, not just a keto diet, then it can last forever. It doesn't have to not last forever. But I get the feeling here that you're pushed toward no diet is good enough unless you take my products.
Now, outside of keto, there are many options to help regulate your insulin levels. And this is achieved through things like fasting. Even some research by Dr. Jason Fung, the nephrologist, shows that a 5-day water fast can actually help start to balance your insulin levels. However, this comes with a caveat, a caution. Don't just jump into a 5-day fast either. That may not be what you're looking for. Different people have different necessities.
So now I'm a little confused. Is a 5-day water fast less extreme than a keto diet? I mean, that's not eating anything. I don't follow the logic here. Well, I don't think this person knows much about a keto diet and doesn't use it, maybe other than his own one-person experience, and then looking at other influencers' experience. Take-home point here, consider the source, and this is not someone you'd want to learn how to do a keto diet from. And I hope it doesn't dissuade you from fear-mongering and even the language on the internet now, dangers, and this is all clickbaiting sort of thing to get people's attention and to click on it. And I'm afraid, as you saw, there's very little data produced, very few studies done other than individual experience. And that can help, and you want to know your individual experience. So if you're not feeling well, on any diet for that matter, then you want to get some consultation with someone who knows about this kind of diet. It also occurs to me that low testosterone occurs on lots of different diets. I mean, there are testosterone clinics where typical American diet followers will have testosterone issues and they get implants and shots, that sort of thing. So there's a common fallacy of saying since that happened on a keto diet, it's the only diet that can do it. So other diets can cause issues like this too. You'd want to get it checked out if it happens to you. I hope that's helpful. If you like, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Look for new videos twice a week now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and check out adaptyourlifeacademy.com.